Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak-to-Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Gonna get it loose, just like a buffet, anything you choose. I'll bring the sauces, you bring the juice. We're heading downtown, making moves. Just can't help it, shit gets wild. We done some things that can't be reconciled. Some call it reckless, some call it bold. But this type of living is the only kind I know.
Welcome back to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. I'm Barbara Hardt.
And I'm Doug Armitage. Thanks for joining us. This month's featured music is provided to us by the Magic Beans. Scott Hatchie on guitar and vocals, Casey Russell on keyboard and vocals, Chris Duffy on bass and vocals, and Cody Wales on drums. This song is taken from their 2018 studio album Casino Cabaret, which you can stream along with their other albums, including their latest, Unzipped, wherever you listen to music.
This episode is brought to you by Brightwood Music, Hardt's Backhoe, Kaleidoscope Fine Arts Gallery, Very Nice Brewing Company, and of course, the Mountaineer newspaper.
In our Mountain Ear this week, John Scarf reports on mountain lions near Pine Cliff and in Coal Creek Canyon. According to reports, the lion has killed 3 dogs and possibly another. Please keep an eye on your dogs.
Our first story for this week is brought to you by Jamie Lammers, who will be interviewing local musician Lisa Marie Windwalker. Take it away, Jamie.
Hello, my name is Jamie Lammers, and this is my interview with local musician and teacher Lisa Marie Windwalker.
I'm called Lisa Marie Coyote Windwalker, and I'm a flutist here in Nederland, Colorado, musician and founder of Mystic Pulse.
And I hear that you are doing a flute demonstration very, very soon.
I am at the Nederland Library, December 8th. I'm going to be showing different world flutes. I'm going to be showing the transverse orchestral flute, the piccolo, the shakuhachi, Hawaiian nose flute, and several Native American flutes that I play, and demonstrating several pieces and taking a Q&A after each piece, and I have a student who's going to give a testimonial.
Take us back to the beginning. How did you get started as a flute instructor, as a flute player? How did the flute come into your life?
Well, in 4th grade, the band directors ask everyone, do you want to play an instrument? And they give you all these instruments. And I wanted to play the drums, believe it or not. Took the paper home and I said, I want to play the drums. And my mother said, no way, and bleep, 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 bleep. So I said, how about the harp? And she said, I'm not going to carry that everywhere. Why don't you play the flute? And I tried to play the flute. I had buck teeth that were so bad that I couldn't close my mouth. And so they put me on the oboe. So I imagine I probably honked around like a duck for quite a while. And then in junior high, we moved to Lakewood and I changed junior highs. The band director said, you've got braces and your teeth have moved back. Do you want to try the flute again? And he let me play the flute, the piccolo, and the oboe. And I was pretty bad. I was last chair and there were like 20 flutes. And I befriended the first chair flute. And I'm like, how did you get so good? And she said, I take lessons from Susanella Noble. So I started taking lessons from Susanella. My family, they weren't in a place to continue lessons. And Susanella saw promise in me. And so she allowed me to come to her house from Wheat Ridge, Colorado to Boulder. I took the bus 2 hours one way. And she said, if you clean my house, I'll give you a lesson. And you can stay as long as you want and listen to a live broadcast of any of the orchestras that you want to listen to or records. So she did that from the time I was 15. I started flute lessons. And when I was 15. And she cultivated my musical skills and my promise. And then I ended up going to Philadelphia to study music. I was going to be a veterinarian, and so I had a choice. I got full scholarship to be in the 4-year pre-program for vet school at Fort Collins, but I also got accepted by Murray Panitz, who was the principal flutist of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and I was the first freshman he ever took. Yeah, I had promise. So I studied there, and I got my degree cum laude, and I studied with several other flutists that are on my website, mysticpulseearth.com, and music has taken me all over the world. I wanted to be principal flutist of the Berlin Philharmonic, and life said something else, and now I am a medicine woman, and I work with sound journeys, I work with vibration, and I teach. I've been teaching for 38 years. Back in Philadelphia, I was the professor at the Bryn Mawr Conservatory. I had my own home studio that I called Transverse Sonorities, and I moved back out here to Colorado to be with my beloved life partner, Jason, and we moved to Netherlands during COVID. In 2020, the autumn of 2020. And so we didn't get to really meet the community until recently. And so my ensemble, Mystic Pulse, has played at Wild Bear. We played at the Farmers Market now for the last couple of years. And now we're going to do the Netherlands Holiday Market, 10th of December. So I'm looking for flute studios for my home studio. I already teach down in Lafayette at the Center for Musical Arts, where I'm professor of flute there on Wednesdays only, and it's full down there. But I just want the community to know that they have a world-class international flutist and a wonderful teacher, because it's one of my gifts to be able to teach.
In regards to teaching in particular, because you mentioned that you feel like you have this gift for teaching and you have this affinity for teaching, what has stuck out to you about teaching since you started doing it 38 years ago?
A student-teacher relationship is a very sacred relationship. And every student that I've had has a different body, has a different mind, and they progress at different levels. Many of my students have gone on into music and have won big competitions, and other students have just enjoyed playing. They've gotten into marching band, they've gotten into their orchestra or all-state orchestra or all-state bands in Pennsylvania. And I love those aha moments. I teach beginners also. I have the credentials to teach professionals, but I love teaching beginners because I get all of these fresh beginner minds that have these aha moments. And my job is to teach them to be a conduit of music, to allow vibration to flow through them and enjoy it and be able to connect with other beings. Because when you play in band, you're part of something bigger than yourself. When you play in an orchestra, you're part of something bigger than yourself. So it's a social thing for kids. It's an exciting thing for adults, especially adults who've never played before or adults who used to play when they were really young. And then they get to keep their mind fresh. There's science out there that says if you learn an instrument, not just listen to music, but if you're learning an instrument, you get a whole body workout. So it's a really special thing to be able to teach. And I'm particularly good at it because I had to work hard at it when I was growing up. And I didn't have the support except by my first flute teacher who saw something in me. So I've been able to really go the extra mile, have the discipline to practice and enjoy the practicing. No one ever told me to practice. So I try to encourage my students to enjoy it. I encourage them to go outside. I've taken students to parks and cemeteries and put them up in trees and handed them the flute and said, okay, I want you to play to the earth. I want you to play to the trees, play to the forest, play to the deer and the squirrels, and just play from your heart, from the inside. So learning an instrument gives everyone the opportunity to connect to something larger than ourselves.
What has stuck out to you about being able to learn the flute over these years, being able to practice it, and being able to actually perform with it over these years?
I feel a deep gratitude to music. I feel like no matter what instrument I would have picked up, I would have still been a musician. It's in my bones. And the flute is evocative. It's in every culture. And I send all my students videos each week of all the different flutes in every different culture. It was one of the first instruments that human beings started using to express themselves, was the flute. The first one was probably the drum or the voice. And the second one was the voice or the drum. And the third one was the flute. So in mythology, there's flutes everywhere. Krishna plays the flute. Kokopelli plays the flute. The Pied Piper played the flute to rid Europe cities of rats. And it's a true thing. When I was practicing in college, 3 mice came out of the bathroom every day that I practiced and ran underneath the couch and would listen to me play. And I've played for cows. I've played for Brahma cows in Brazil, and they all come and they're the most attentive audience. So the flute is really special. And the Native American flutes I use for amazing purposes, for healing, for calming. And I have a million amazing stories that I could share that would probably take a lifetime at this point. But yeah, the indigenous flutes are really, really powerful medicine. And the flute has just brought me everywhere in the world, to every being I've ever known, including my life partner here. And he's also a musician and an architect and part of Mystic Pulse. And we do gong baths, and I ground everyone after the gong bath. Gong enhanced sound journey is what we call them. And after the gong bath and the sounds settle into people, I walk around. Most people lay down in Savasana. Other people who need to sit up, they can sit up, elders and such. And I just walk around and I ground the energies with the indigenous flute. I have a buffalo flute and a Ojibwe flute that was given to me by ReVerb. And so it's such a powerful instrument, and it's mesmerizing. And people go quiet when I play for them. When I was in India, I would play everywhere I went and gather crowds, huge crowds around me, and just play. And there was silence, absolute silence. The kids would come up and sit by my feet, and they were mesmerized. I played in Turkey. I traded one of my Native American flutes for a ney flute, which is one of the most difficult flutes to play. I can get a few notes on it. But the flute in the Mevlevi ceremony, which is the Sufi ceremony where the Sufi dancers do their sacred ceremony, the ney is the central part of that ceremony. And they even have their own burial ground in Konya. So the flute is a sacred instrument. It's used everywhere, not just in orchestra or band, but it's used everywhere in the world to express. You have to use your breath, your prana. And as everyone will see on Thursday, I'm going to bring a Hawaiian nose flute. And it's played with the nose, not through the mouth. It's a sacred ceremonial flute. It was gifted to me by a man in Hawaii who gave it to a friend of mine. And the premise is that sometimes what comes through our mouth is not so wholesome. But what comes through your nose, your prana, the spirit, is wholesome and healing. So this is a sacred flute. And I'm excited to show everybody, especially the kids. I played it at Bochabello Orphanage in South Africa, where I did music therapy with them. I also have a certificate of music therapy, so I've done music therapy in Ken Crest Centers in Philadelphia with special needs children, and also at the Bochabello Orphanage, and in hospices, in elder homes. I've brought music and sound and healing vibrations to calm people through that veil before they die and while they're ill or not well, and also in elder senior living centers where they appreciate music. I've played performances and concerts. So my talents are multifaceted. They're very various and varied throughout this lifetime. And I have been playing for 40 years and teaching for 38. I had my first 2 students when I was in high school. And I've learned a great deal. I use 3 different approaches when I teach. One is the Suzuki method. The other one is the inner game of music. And the third one is our approaches that I've learned through all my teachers and through all my students as well, because students always teach me something new. Everybody is different. Every form is different, and every mind is different. And so I just keep learning, and I become a better teacher through teaching.
And is there anything that you hope that people will be able to take away from your performances or from your teaching or just from the flute in general when you talk to them about it?
Well, what's interesting is in performance, I'm not the only one up there. I like to perform in bare feet. I prefer to perform in a circle so that I'm not just up there and people are voyeuristic and observing, because the reality of vibration is that it's a circuitry and it works through an audience, and each person in that audience feels something and it comes back to me and I feel it as an empath and I'm able to express and put it back out there. If I've done multiple performances of the same program, they're all completely different because of the audience, the energy in that audience. So everybody receives vibration differently and they process it differently in their bodies and in their mind. minds, and it goes out. And Joseph Rael, beautiful painted arrow, I'm a second generation student of his, he said, we are being and vibration, and our vibration goes out to the cosmos and rains down to bless us all, especially if we have wholesome action and wholesome thoughts and wholesome livelihood and ways of walking on this earth gently. So what we put out there is really important. Our minds are vibration. Zen teaches us that what we think, what we say, and what we do are vibration. And we can transform our lives by how we think, how we speak, and how we act. So music is not any different from that. It's really amazing. That's how I feel about vibration and audiences. And in the last, I would say 25 years, it has changed drastically for me. I went through a process of dying to myself. I had late stage Lyme and a very strange form of Bartonella. And I don't know why I'm here today. But when I came back to do the Sacred Drift, which is on the website, the memoirs from that, I came back different. And the music just flowed through me. I didn't have to work at it. I had worked at it before Lyme disease, worked at it really hard, and I was really serious and really focused for going towards being a principal flutist of the Berlin Philharmonic. And life said, nope, nope, nope. You have to dissolve. You have to fall apart. And then it said, I'm not done with you yet. You have to come back together. And the serving that I did with vibration in all these different communities around the world on 6 continents was very profound, because the people who did one-on-one sound journeys with me, or the people that I did music therapy with, children, adults, all that vibration came back to me and blessed me and transformed many people. I don't know how it affected many people, but many people have connected with me and stayed connected with me since their sound journeys. So music is really powerful. It's just really powerful. Vibration is very powerful, and we ourselves are vibration. So I feel like even if you took the flute away from me, or all the flutes away from me, that music and vibration would come through me. And it does, because I sing and I chant and I do ceremony. I'm a ceremonialist as well. And that involves vibration. So yeah, it's very profound. It's very profound. And my job as a teacher is to basically show my students, or guide them with all my experience that I have, and listen to them, because they also have wisdom. Listen to them and allow the conduit that is in each one of us to open up and express, because we're all musicians. Some people say, oh, no, I'm not a musician. Some adults are like, oh, I wish I could do this. And they're more impatient than students, like little ones, because the little ones don't know better. But adults, they have an idea of how they want to sound and what they want to do with it. And so I teach the adults to relax and let go. Use your warm-ups as meditation. Do it outside if it's not snowing like it is today. When it's warm, go outside and play for the earth, play for the sky, play for all the beings, the more than human world, as well as the human world that might be listening, and allow the vibrations of the trees and the more than human world to come back and bless you and enrich you and hold us up. If more people in this world were musicians, I don't think we would be in the predicaments that we are in right now as a collective.
Is there anything else in general that you want to add about anything else upcoming, or anything about your performances, or just anything in general?
Well, I think it's important that the Netherlands community come out and explore with me and hear about my experience and hear the different flutes, ask questions if they have questions. I don't know if I can answer all questions, but I'm willing to be open to that, and possibly entertain the idea of learning how to play the flute and bringing themselves to a community of flute players. If I get enough people in my home studio, I will do summer flute camps where people get to come and play together. I usually do 1, if not 2 performances, student recitals per year. And we do gong baths, and the library is also looking to have us come and play a gong bath in February sometime and receive those sounds of the gongs and the native flutes, the indigenous flutes, and guided meditation to help us all whole from everything that we're experiencing. Music can help with trauma. Music can help with injury. So just to keep an eye out for Mystic Pulse, because we're around, and we are going to play at the Holiday Mountain Market on the 10th of December. And we've been asked to do a whole klezmer set. So we do Celtic, we do klezmer, we do original tunes. My partner Jason is a composer as well as a great musician. He plays hand drums, sings, and plays all these different kinds of guitars, acoustic and electric. And I play all kinds of different flutes. I play frame drums and sing. And we have people join us. So we've got a wonderful colleague, Tony Rodriguez, who's going to join us for the Holiday Mountain Market on the drums, on the drum kit. So it's going to be really exciting. And I have a lot of openings in my home studio right here in Netherlands. And I've got a lot of experience teaching all kinds of people, all ages, all abilities. So I want to meet people in the community and I want to engage in the journey of learning the flute with people.
I think those are all the big questions I have on my end.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jamie, for this opportunity to connect with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on board and joining us. This was awesome.
And if anybody wants to check us out, we're mysticpulseearth.com.
Thank you so much to Lisa Marie for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to see her perform a flute demonstration live, be sure to catch her at the Netherlands Community Library on 200 Highway 72 North in Netherlands on Thursday, December 8th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
Thanks, Jamie. And now to the news desk. In this week's Mountaineer, Sarah Sandstrom covers Netherlands' schools needing help filling positions in transportation, food services, and custodial positions.
In the past several weeks, the Mountaineer has been focusing on amping up our Shop Local stories. These are an extension of our Keep It Local stories. We have covered some of Gilpin County, City of Blackhawk, the City of Central, Nederland, Northwest Boulder County, and now, again, a bit more of Nederland. We will be running these stories for another couple of weeks until the Thursday before Christmas. Keep an eye on the Mountaineer, in print and online, to find the latest, greatest mountain shopping available to you.
Last week, the Mountaineer also announced the Pet of the Year candidates. The polls are open to vote for these awesome animals until December 15th. Winners will be announced in the December 22nd edition of the Mountaineer. Over 150 people have voted to date.
Also in this week's paper, Christopher Kelly reports on the holiday and Christmas tree lighting at Town Hall in Nederland. It was cold that night. Santa and Mrs. Claus were there, and Christopher reports on what Mayor Giblin said. Christopher also reports on the Nederland Jazz and Wine pop-up at Sweet Sue's. Stephanie Andelman announced the winners of the evening's raffle and handed out such prizes as jazz and wine-themed books from the pop-up bookstore Talking Sparrow. The Mountaineer also offered a live around the town on the Witness Protection Program playing at the Very Nice Brewing Company and packing the house on Sunday with a surprise visit by Michael Sivkovic. Check that out on our Facebook page.
For our next story, Jamie Lammers interviews Chris Hagar and Tony Clark of the local mountain band Mountain ReVerb.
Hello, my name is Jamie Lammers, and this is my interview with Carl Hager and Tony Crank of the local band Mountain ReVerb.
My name's Carl Hager. I guess since I'm a band member, I'll just say I do the vocals and acoustic guitar with our band Mountain ReVerb.
I'm Tony Crank. I play the lead guitar with the band.
I hear that you guys are performing at Very Nice Brewing Company very soon.
Yeah, we perform there. It's not monthly, quarterly. I could probably answer the later question you're going to have is that our band itself is actually a collaboration that Tony and I started. And so we do anywhere from a duo to up to a 7-piece. And quite often Tony and I will play, but there are other band members that play as well that are immensely talented.
I think you just mentioned that the band started out of two of you and kind of grew into this much bigger thing. So how did the band start? How did it come together? How did you guys meet? What were some of the musical influences that drove the band? All that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we met over in an open mic, and I play a lot of cover tunes, a lot of rock and roll, country, blues, and so I saw that Carl was playing very similar music, and when I saw him play and perform, he approached me to come into his house and see if we could have that chemistry. And Carl, you can take over from that part.
Yeah, we had that chemistry after the first song, Jamie. I'll start off right now. Tony's probably one of the most talented lead guitarists in Colorado. He's out performing right now. He performs with multiple bands. He's a complimentary lead guitarist, so that goes especially well with a lot of songs that people like to listen to, and because he can both improvise and match the song with its melody. So when we first got together, I think it was a set list of probably 15 songs, Tony, I think it was. And 3 days later, we had a 3-hour set at Little Bear Saloon. So after the first couple songs, he had it. He just freeforms and complements and phrases with his guitar so nicely that it just was perfect. So that was our start. We kind of started, and then I think when you have that chemistry playing together and you listen to one another, then it just kind of opened up. more venues opened up. Tony had some connections, I had some connections, and I think what has kept us going is all the venues we play have asked us back. And so Tony and I knew we had something going together, and so we thought, well, we need some percussion next. We brought in a congas, right, Tony? Conga and djembe.
Yep.
His name is John Flanagan, who is in multiple bands, most notably in a band called Los Cheesies. It's very, very popular, and his percussion was unique, absolutely unique. He had kind of a Santana Latin vibe to it, and it really caught us off guard. And so we went down that path and then brought in a drummer. The drummer is named Dan Kreco, who is exceptional, a very versatile, talented, and experienced drummer. He's like a drum machine. We can ask him to adjust his style. It's striking. It's like having a piece of software and adjusting it. And those two together, and Tony and I really kind of came up with a different sound that if you listen to our songs that are on our website, it's just a really cool sound. And when people listen to us, they hear that percussion section, and a lot of times we'll open a song and then we'll go into the verse of the song and they go, wow, I've never heard anyone play a song like that. So after that, we brought in a bassist and keyboard. I'd love to shout out the bassists that are in the band as well. Mr. Otis Landy plays in multiple bands and multiple venues. He's a local Ned musician. Ryan Parker is a phenomenal bassist and vocalist. We got Ron Bleckman is a keyboard player that has joined us on multiple occasions as well. Ron Beckett is a bassist. Ron Beckett has a fantastic background. And all these guys that I'm mentioning, Jamie, are on our website. And we've got bios set up, especially Tony's bios on there as well. And the other individual I'd love to bring to your attention is Mr. Kenny Perales, who plays with multiple bands, Cat Jerky, and gosh, Tony, what are some of his other bands?
That's the only one I can think of right now, but
yeah,
he's a Steel Monkey.
Yeah, but I guess what's worked really well, and I think what Tony and I wanted from the very beginning, and again, I'm speaking for ATC, I'm sorry, is a collaboration of very talented musicians, because we've tried out multiple musicians to join the group, but they have to be able to follow and they've got to be able to contribute as instrumentalists. So we've turned a lot of people away and really pared down to a group of instrumentalists and vocalists that just really work well together and they listen. And that's been our success. Tony plays in multiple bands. Every single one of the musicians in our band has multiple commitments throughout Denver, Loveland, including Netherlands and Longmont, Boulder, and including the Fox Theater and other places where travel nationally and internationally. So any opportunity we have to get together as a band is a treasure. And so I think Tony and my goal was to have a collaboration that was fun, that we were coming together and making good music, quality music, on a want to come together opportunity. The guys want to come together and play. It's tricky because so often with bands, it takes a lot of commitment. You sign up for a band and that may require you to just practice with that band and travel with that band. But Tony and my collaboration design with this is that, hey, we can put together a band and support a wedding. We could support an outdoor venue, small venues, large venues, corporate gigs. We played a scientific conference in Denver. It was the American Society of Primatology. I hear I'm rambling. I'd love for you to get a background on Tony, where he came from with his lead guitar, because Mountain ReVerb wouldn't be anything without Tony and his skill set there.
In that case, Tony, do you want to talk a little bit about that background?
Sure. It's nothing out of the ordinary. Just any kid that wants to pick up a guitar. They did an article in Longmont Leaders where they asked me a bunch of questions about how I got started. And one thing that I've always pointed to when I was a kid is that my older brother, Lawrence, would influence me with his guitar and his singing. And whenever he played and whenever he sang, it always inspired me. But before all that happened, I grew up on the Navajo reservation, and the nearest town was like 90 miles away. It's called Farmington. That was the nearest town. It's on the borders of the reservation. And it would take a long time to get there, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what it's like, and then another hour and a half to get back home. So a lot of the musical influence were traditional singing, traditional chanting, and traditional healing that I grew up around. I listened to it. I participated in a lot of ceremonies when I was a child. I was around my grandma a lot. I was her baby. And all my older brothers, there were 3 older brothers and 1 older sister. And even just a couple of weekends ago, I went to go down to my niece's wedding, and that's where I saw my grandma. She recognized me right away. She goes, that's my child. How you doing? And my cousins and my aunties, they were like, that's the first time she remembers anybody. And so I was raised with a lot of influence on traditional teachings. And so having said that, I also learned to pick up playing piano, and also playing trombone and singing bass in choir at the age of 9. And before before that happened, I was on the reservation, and my brother said we needed to go up to the Mormon placement program. And my brother was like, okay, Tony, why don't you go ahead and sign up? They just need to convert you into Mormonism. I'm like, okay. Being a little kid, I said, let's do it. And he said, we need better education than what they're giving us here on the reservation. And I ended up with a family up in Kansas, Utah. And that's where they taught me how to play piano, trombone, singing in choir. And I picked up a lot of that stuff just on my own and was really interested in music. But I always wanted to play the guitar. And my brother was around. He always said, don't touch my guitar, don't play around with it. And I would pick on it. And then one day he saw me playing it. And he's like, all right, why don't you go ahead and play me this song? And he showed me some songs. And it was Green Sleeve. And I just started picking it up. And within 2 weeks, I learned how to play that song. And he was like, wow, you play it better than I do. And I loved it. I just enjoyed playing the guitar. And he bought me a guitar. He bought me my first BC Rich electric guitar. And I beat that thing to death. I played it every day, every night. I didn't play any sports. I didn't play anything except for chess and guitar. Those were my favorite things growing up in high school. And we moved around a lot from town to town to town to town. So I was enjoying learning new things from everybody in that school, elementary, middle school, high school. Went to, I think, 6 to 7 high schools and finally graduated in Page, Arizona under a classical guitarist. And for college, I started doing music production, MIDI productions with keyboards. And back that time, they had Morpheus and Proteus, these little modules of canvas of sounds. And I would create music, and they commissioned me to create educational films and for background music and montage and several different pieces. They would pick out songs and they would get it mastered and they would put it into the television programs. And I was very happy to participate in that stuff. And then I started playing in jazz band. I played tuba in jazz band, and it was a lot of fun. And I also played trombone in jazz band. But I picked up the classical guitar again, and that's when I really fell in love with the natural tones of the guitar. And I was told by my teacher, Tony, you have a very unique style. I don't think you'll ever be a professional classical guitarist, but you do have your own talent, and someday you'll see that talent fruition into something that you really enjoy. And after my daughter was born, I decided back in 2000 to kind of just be a teacher. And so I taught music, but the music teaching that I was doing, I got into more production, being an audio engineer at the same time, and produced a lot of music for a lot of native people that didn't have access to recording studios. And then when I moved up to Boulder, my wife and I both moved up here. We both found a job, but my jobs were always part-time. And so I started working at Mackey Auditorium as an audio engineer, and just picked up from there and just performed a lot of the sound engineering stuff with Mackey. And I haven't touched the guitar that much until my car accident back in 2016 or 17, somewhere around there, where I had a truck hit me going across the intersection, and I had a concussion. I couldn't really remember stuff. And then 3 days later, I had another concussion, another car accident when I was being driven to see my doctor. And then I was told that maybe I should, since I was losing some memories here and there, play guitar more often. And so I started playing a lot more guitar. It's almost like I had to relearn things, relearn how to teach, and became a school bus driver. And when I was school bus driving, I would practice my guitar every single day for a whole year. And then I started performing out. And 2018 is when I met Carl. That's when I started performing out to open mics. So that's how it just fruition. I started playing slide guitar just 2019. And I really love the slide, and I really love playing flamenco and classical guitar and jazz and blues and rock. So I have a very unique style where I don't use a guitar pick. I use my 5 fingers on my right hand and 4 fingers on my left hand, and sometimes the 5th pinky, to get all the notes that I want to come out of the guitar.
For you guys coming together and creating this big band out of all of your backgrounds and creating something that I think kind of resonates with people on that level, what is it like being a part of that group? What is it like for you being the kind of group that it has taken in so many people and that has prioritized analysts as well, and what has just been your experience as a group as a whole?
Well, I think what's really cool is that I've been on stage, and there's times I'll play a song and go off in a different direction. When you've got a bassist that can go and is so talented that could take a riff on different directions, the whole band adjusts to him. And it's the same thing with Tony. If Tony's connecting intimately with the crowd on one of his leads, we'll throw a couple more measures in there. And when the percussionists have found a steady rhythm, we've had times when we literally just kind of walked up to the side of the stage and let them rock. And that's been a really cool connection with the crowd, because we've got vocals in the band, but we pride ourselves on, and I know Tony does as well, is that these are very, very, very talented musicians on their own. And when we're working around a song and Tony can work a lead, the bassist can work a lead, the percussionist can stand alone, whether you're on a djembe or a conga, it's really cool. It's neat halfway through the song when the bassist finishes a riff and the whole goes into applause, right? I think it's on stage when some of those creative juices start flowing and we go down that path. That's a lot of fun. Don't you think so, TC, when we could just experiment? But the experimentation is not awkward. These are professional musicians that almost approach their performance like a jazz performance. They're listening and they pick up a tempo change, they pick up a key change, and just instantly they're on top of it. And Tony is exceptionally skilled with that. I think that's what makes us unique.
Is there anything just in general about playing live that sticks out to you? Is there anything about playing live that comes out to you as a group and that is your favorite part about being able to do it?
You know, Tony had an influence from his brother. I had an influence from my brother. I lost my brother prematurely. It was unfortunate. He was the first one, like Tony's brother, that gave me a guitar. I strummed the crap out of this previous guitar I had. He taught me 2 songs. One was Folsom Prison Blues, and then I think he taught me the 3 opening chords to Stairway to Heaven, and I just did that for a year, and then he gave me a guitar, which is my first big one. He was an immense talent. James Taylor, Cat Stevens of the time, late 60s and 70s, and so I grew up under his influence and listening to him play. When I lost him, I kind of made a promise to him that I wanted to get out and perform, and it's tricky. I didn't have the musical background that Tony had, but it's tricky getting on stage and doing that. But once you surround yourself with very talented musicians, it really kind of spreads out the music and makes it more instrumental than just one person hammering on a guitar. It's entirely different. And also, it's a joy to see people tapping their feet and people getting up and dancing. It's hugely rewarding. Then when you play a song that they haven't heard for a long time, a song that takes them back when they were younger. And we had a young audience come in, and we had multiple young audiences that can sometimes get rowdy during our later sets, which is awesome. Love that. But they asked us early on what our genre was, and then they came up afterwards and they said, you know what you guys are? You guys are dad rock. And I went, what do you mean? And they said, this is the kind of music that our dad used to play when he took us to soccer practice. And I thought, okay, if you take Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Grand Funk Railroad, Pink Floyd, all those songs, or they're a portion of what we cover, because we covered 90s bands and 2000s as well. We're pretty broad spectrum. But okay, I'll buy that.
And is there anything that you hope that audiences in general will take away from your shows when they come and see you?
I think is the instrumental talent. Jeff Green just posted a portion of the song we did. We had a backing drum track, and Kenny Perales did a freeform on it, and gosh, I'm trying to remember what the song was. Oh, it was Bachman Turner Overdrive. Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. And there's a 3-chord progression to it that you can extend. Just basically an A, G, and a D. It's in the intro of the song, and then in the middle of the song, you can just kind of throw in some extra measures. And in the video that Jeff posted on Facebook, Kenny Perales was just killing it. Just preforming it and riding it. And I think that's the thing that I would recommend or want people to take away from this, is that these are very talented musicians that are up there that are doing these solos. And it's a privilege for me to be on stage with them and kind of set that rhythm, that 3 or 4 chord sequence on the acoustic guitar and the backing to let them shine. So that's what I take a lot of pride in.
Is there anything else in general that you can think of that you want to add or that is coming up, or just anything in general?
No, I guess there's a lot of stuff that comes up. We've got a website at mountainreverb.com. Come on down to Very Nice Brewing and check us out. It's always a pleasure. Not only is it a local watering hole microbrewery, there's a lot of people that go through there as well. So yeah, come check us out. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, and I normally post on our website what makes up the band. So if it's a 3-piece, I'll put the members that are coming up and we'll go from there. But yeah, we love playing Very Nice and up in that, and it's gorgeous. I adore it up there.
I think those are all the big questions that I have on my end.
Cool, Jamie. Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. This was awesome.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Yeah, we've got other sets that show up down on the flat, but it'd be great to connect with more people up in Ned and build more of a base up there. We have some people that come on stage too. I've dear friend Chip that comes on stage when we play a song and joins us. Charlie Allen comes on and joins us on stage. When we need a harmonica, there's some other individuals up there as well that just bring on stage, and we want to make it a fun environment for playing up there.
Thank you so much to Carl and Tony for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to see Mountain ReVerb performing live, you can catch them at Very Nice Brewing Company on 20 Lakeview Drive, number 112 in Nederland, on Friday, December 16th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Thanks, Jamie. Did you know every week you can check out the latest Backdoor Theater movie on their website at www.thebackdoortheater.org? In other news from the Mountaineer, John Scarf reports on the Tommyknockers Holiday Bazaar in Central City, and James DeWalt authors an article on Life in Nature, Winter Hunting Grounds.
Friends, the Gilpin County Democrats hold monthly meetings in person on the fourth Thursday of each month at the Gilpin County Library from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. For more information, contact gilpindemschair@gmail.com with questions.
The Gilpin County Republican meetings are on the first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. at the Gilpin County Library. You can contact them at gcrcgilpin@gmail.com.
The holiday season is upon us, and Brightwood Music in Nederland has the gifts you need for the aspiring musician to the advanced performer. They carry new and used instruments, strings, reeds, books, accessories, and more. Brightwood Music is family-owned and operated and has been a Nederland staple for all of your music needs since 2009. They are located at 20 East Lakeview Drive, Unit 109 in Nederland, and can be reached at 303-258-8863. Check them out on Facebook at Brightwood Music.
Peak-to-peak musicians and artists, the Mountaineer is looking for you. We are looking for our January featured musician. Would you like a feature story in the Mountaineer, print, online, and podcast? These are all completed through email, phone calls, or occasional in-person interviews with our journalists. Interested? Check out our contact information at the end of the podcast.
Are you interested in being a podcast sponsor? We have sponsorships available starting at $30 per podcast. The podcast reaches a different audience than the print or online edition of The Mountaineer.
Did you know the Gilpin County and Nederland area seniors have their schedule of events in print on the Mountaineer each week? Look for meals, movies, grocery shopping, and more. It's right here between pages 4 and 5 each week.
And for our final story, let's go back to Jamie Lammers interviewing local band Sugar Moon. Take it away, Jamie.
Hello, my name is Jamie Lammers, and this is my interview with Ellie Veris and Kira Holt from the local band Sugar Moon.
My name is Ellie Veris Monroe, and I play guitar and sing in Sugar Moon, and I do a lot of the songwriting. The occasional musical saw, too.
And hi, I'm Kira Holt. I play banjo and also do some songwriting and some singing and some harmony singing.
And I hear that Sugar Moon is performing at Gold Hill Inn very soon. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're up there on Sunday the 18th, I think it is, December 18th, and we're really excited. It's one of our favorite places. We played there a few times before, but it's been a little while since the pandemic and all, so we're excited to get back.
And the last time we played there was pretty memorable because it was actually just the two of us playing as a duo at the time, and we decided to take Lick Skillet in the winter and got
Be
stuck.
forewarned. Yeah. So we ended up hiking up the last quarter mile or something up Lick Skillet Road, with our guitar and banjo cases through the snow. So yeah, we're not going to make that mistake again, but always an adventure, right?
So how did Sugar Moon start? How did you guys meet? How did the band come together? How did it all begin?
Yeah, so it's funny. Kira and I, the two of us, we're both moms, and we actually met as moms first. So we both they were 2 years old at the time, and got together for a play date and kind of realized, oh my gosh, you're a mom that plays banjo and you play bluegrass, what? So at some point we said, we should get together and actually play some music sometime. And we did that in Kira's basement, and it was pretty immediately oh, this is awesome and special. And so Kira and I played as a duo for the first, year, maybe 2 years, and then really wanted to expand. So now the band is Christy Schneider, who's also a mom, and we all three have kids about the same age. She's a fabulous fiddle player. And then Matt Malik, who's not a mom, sadly, but he's an amazing bass player and it's a lot of fun to play with. So it's the four of us now.
What were some musical influences that ended up bringing you two together and that ended up bringing the band together as a whole?
I think at first, Ellie, we were, that first time we met, we just started naming songs, Gillian Welch songs and old traditional bluegrass songs, and kind of quickly realized that Ellie and I had listened and played to a lot of similar music. And so that's, I think, where it got started. And also writing songs. So Ellie is an amazing writer, and it was just so fun to play on each other's songs and kind of make them come to life.
I'll say there's a duo. They're not a Colorado-based band, but they're called Anna and Elizabeth. And it's two women that just revive old music in this really cool, fresh way. And I think I was listening to a lot of Anna and Elizabeth at that time. And so I feel like that sort of permeates the experience. Dude, this really tight two female harmonies of this old music, but doing it in a fresh and new way was really exciting to me at that time, and still is, really.
In regards to playing live, when did you guys first start playing live as a group, and what are some of your favorite aspects about being able to perform live as a group?
Oh, gosh. I think Kira and I started back in, 2017, maybe? When we were playing as a duo quite a bit, and then getting some success and playing more shows, and then we met Matt and started playing with Matt, and really felt like we had a lot of momentum going right before COVID. We just played at Cervantes before COVID, and then boom, everything shut down. So it was kind of an interesting time to be kind of like an emerging band. And then for the next 2 years, we played the occasional outdoor show. It was really safe and we felt good about it. But we did all of our rehearsal outdoors in our backyards. We'd bundle up and practice outside. It was that kind of thing. And so I think the ability to go back into music venues and play for live audiences has been just that much sweeter. You know what I mean? I appreciate it so much more now. And the live experience is almost co-creative. When you're playing in front of a live audience, it's not just you in your living room and you're by yourself, but suddenly you have a group of people that are participating in the experience and really creating the experience or co-creating the experience with you. And so that's just so exciting to me. It's such an awesome opportunity to have as a human.
What are some things that you hope audience members will be able to take away when they come and see you or listen to your music or any of that kind of stuff?
I think it's interesting. I think when people see our band, it has some of the traditional instrumentation of upright bass and banjo and guitar and fiddle. You think bluegrass, which we definitely can play bluegrass. But I think one thing that maybe people find surprising is how many original songs we have. And those original songs are sort of in the bluegrass range, but it's also kind of singer-songwriting and pretty at times, just in the harmonies. I don't think people quite know what they're getting into when they see the instrumentation, and then we kind of play traditional music, but also sort of a really original music, if that makes sense.
And what are some of your favorite aspects about being able to perform as a group and write as a group?
Oh, man, it's the best. As a writer, I don't think I've had this kind of experience where you bring a song to a group, say, okay, I wrote this tune, and you realize it's not really complete, and you take it to this group of people, and all of whom have ideas about structure and just how to arrange it and textures and different ways to fill spaces in with cool fills and solos. And it just, the experience to me as a writer is you bring this little songlet to a group, and it's like, it grows up. It becomes something so much bigger, and it's just a really cool experience, and I'm really grateful for it. Matt is a really great arranger. He's our bass player, and I've just been always in awe of the ideas he has about how to chop a song up and put it back together and do all sorts of cool stuff that I would never think of. So it's really fun.
Yeah, I just love the energy that when we were playing as a duo, it had a lot different quality to it, and now I just feel like there's just a lot more energy and a bigger sound, and it just makes it more fun.
We've got one song, maybe we've got more than one, but one that Kira and I really co-wrote together. We came up with sort of a melody and a chorus, and then we just took turns kind of writing verses and writing the chorus together. And it's such a cool little special song because within that song, there's multiple perspectives or multiple experiences. I don't know. I think it's so cool.
Is there anything just in general about any of the previous questions or just anything else that you want to add about Sugar Moon or anything coming up or anything like that?
Just that we hope we see a lot of folks there at the Gold Hill Inn on the 18th. There's There's not a cover, and it's just the classic Colorado experience, and it's a really wonderful place to play. So we're glad to be part of that history. And of course, you can find more about us and other shows we're playing and things like that on our website.
And Ellie's written some new material, so maybe we'll be debuting some new songs.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be an adventure.
Well, I think those are all the big questions that I have on my end.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the conversation and for doing what you do. And local journalism is so important. So thanks for fighting the fight.
Thank you so much to Ellie and Kira for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. You can see Sugar Moon performing at Gold Hill Inn on 401 Main Street in Gold Hill on Sunday, December 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. You can also visit their website at sugarmoonbluegrass.com to learn more about them and stream their album Special Shade of Blue and single Snake in the Grass wherever you listen to music.
Thanks, Jamie. This weekend, don't forget to check out the Nederland Area Seniors Holiday Mountain Market on Saturday and Sunday, as well as the Gilpin Winter Arts Festival. Information can be found in this week's edition of The Mountaineer for both events.
Friends, don't forget to pick up this week's edition of The Mountaineer in print in multiple locations across the Peak to Peak for the latest news from Allens Park to Central City and Blackhawk, with all of the communities and the canyons in between. All editions of the Mountaineer podcast, print newspaper, and the latest news are always available on our website at www.themountaineer.com. To contact The Mountaineer, email info@themountaineer.com or call 303-810-5409. And that's all for this episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. Thanks, everyone. I'm Doug Armitage.
And I'm Barbara Hardt. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Next time, there won't be no doubt. From here on out. From here on out. From here on out. From here on out.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.